Hello and namaste, my dear friends. I am Jill Loftus of Nuit Astrology. Welcome to your planetary energy forecast for the week of July the 21st, 2025. This is a really interesting week. Definitely some volatility, but also some progress to be made this week. I feel like there will be multiple turning points, and that is not only because we have a super powerful new moon very, very early in Leo. This is also the week that an interesting phenomenon forms in the sky mathematically that astrologers call the basket pattern. And this basket pattern, I am not the most educated person about it. So if you have any research or know somebody who's done a lecture on it, I would love to listen to it. But it's so startling to look at the chart and see this formation that comes from two minor grand trines. A minor grand trine is not really a grand trine. What it is a trine between two planets that both of those planets are also in a sextile energy with another planet. So it involves three, the magic of three. And this week features two separate minor grand trines that form this configuration that literally looks like a basket. Now, what is triggering this is the movement of the sun, that new moon in Leo, and the sun sending gorgeous energy over to Saturn and to Neptune in Aries, but yet standing across the sky from Pluto. Now, this configuration is I think something that will require us to make a lot of changes. But we also have a lot of change coming anyways because we have the meeting of Mars and the South Node in Virgo. So this is, we call the South Node and the North Node the nodes of fate. They travel backwards through the sky. They are not actual planets. They're mathematical calculations. But some astrologers even only follow the nodes, and just by watching the nodes, you can really observe the cycles. They operate at about a 19-year cycle, so please do go back in your journals, maybe go back through your pictures, Google what was going on 19 years ago, and see how this is being activated. Because Mars, you'll remember, Mars is a trigger, Mars is an activator, for sure. And, the energies could be there, but Mars lights the match. Now, Mars in Virgo is really, has a strong desire nature to do things well, to do things efficiently, to do things a certain way, to be useful, a real drive and desire to be useful. There can be this sense of almost flailing if you don't feel like you're contributing in some way. And especially right now with everything that's going on in the world, I think we all have a little bottled up frustration about our inability to do things that feel like they can improve these things that are happening, right? There's a certain amount of helplessness here. But what we do is we reach across the sky to Pisces, to that North Node in Pisces that wants to accelerate our spiritual growth, that wants us to see the larger cycles at play. And both the North Node, South Node, and Mars are going to be in a difficult angle with Venus as we start the week. Now, Venus is in multitasking Gemini, and she's throwing out all these different ways you could solve the problems. But Mars is pretty attached to the way he wants to do things. And so do watch. You need to entertain options, but not get lost in the options. Squares make you turn a corner, make you sharpen your pencil, so to speak, to write your story. Squares force you to make a decision or a change. So the more that you can do it with the wisdom and discernment of Virgo and the inspiration of Pisces, with all the possibilities that are presented to you by Venus, well, that's the way to manage the beginning of the week for sure. Now, we are also really watching a couple moon voids, so I'll let you know about those at the end of the video so we can cluster that all together. But the sun on the 22nd goes into Leo, so happy solar return to the royalty. Now, when the sun moves into Leo, immediately going to be picking up that gorgeous connection with Saturn and with Neptune. This is the first time we've experienced this. And so this is vastly creative, inspired, fire energy. Let's do it. Let's change something. But remember, across the sky, even though Pluto is speaking really beautifully with both Saturn and Neptune, it is going to be in the position of argument with the sun. And so this push-pull between the solar and the depths this push-pull between leadership and the masses, between the dark, the hidden, and the one who's kind of at the head of the room, kind of guiding us in some way. So interesting to observe what happens this week with solar figures in general. But also, if you are an early degree Leo, if you have your birthday or solar return over this next week or so, this is a powerful rebirth for you. The new moon actually happens on the 24th. It's at 3:11 p.m. Eastern. Now watch, the moon is void earlier that morning. I'll let you know the moon void. So definitely do your rituals after that time period. But, it's in this gorgeous connection with the planet of stability and discipline and direction, and the planet of inspired creative connection to the cosmos, to the possibilities. Entertain, anything could happen. I was just listening to a really interesting video by the World Astrology Report guy, whose name I can never remember. But I highly recommend him. I've recommended his videos many, many times. But he was talking about this concept of how it's not possible for it's not possible for things to happen unless we think it first, right? That's part of the role of Mercury. To give us the ideas, to think about something, to think about the possibilities. And I think about this Venus and Gemini really connecting us to our values. What do we love? What are we passionate about? What really matters? I think that that's a really key question this week. And let that difficulty at the beginning of the week with that Venus, that struggle that she goes through, help that to inform what intentions you want to set for this new moon in Leo. How do you want to be more creative? How do you want to express your talents in a deeper, more meaningful way? How could you improve your own life? And by improving your own life, make everyone's life better, right? How could you feel proud of yourself? How could you really feed that essence of your self-esteem, your self-worth, your true essence as a beautiful human being on this earth doing your absolute best? So those are some of the questions you can ask yourself. Now, remember also when the sun goes into Leo, it's also going to pick up a sextile, a really nice connection to Uranus. So this is absolutely an anything could happen new moon. But you've got to watch out for power struggles, power dynamics, underhanded people, underhanded tactics. Keep things above board, stay away from those kinds of people if you can. Really insulate your energy and don't let anyone dim your light. Now, another thing to kind of pay attention to here is that this Leo moon, after it becomes new, it is going to move forward and illuminate Mercury. And remember, Mercury is in Leo too. So there's something here about really expressing yourself verbally or in a written way that helps you to really move that creative force. So make sure you're journaling this week. And then as we finish up the week, we've got to lean into this beautiful connection between Venus in Gemini and Chiron in Aries. They are connecting beautifully and asking us to really solve the problems, see what's going on, see what we really want, see what we really need. Okay? All right. So as far as the light of the week, I would say the sun moving into Leo, sending gorgeous energy to Uranus, to Saturn, to Neptune. I mean, that's amazing. We're definitely going to lean into that. There's something lucky and blessed about that. I'm also kind of really loving the Venus connection with Chiron. I think that is very meaningful as well. We're really doing the work right now. Okay. Then we're going to really be careful, though, with that Mars South Node. I just am starting to really treat Mars with maybe a little bit more respect. Maybe that was my problem that I didn't do that before, but I'm really paying attention to Mars these days, and especially when he's in a conflict with my sign, Venus. And there with the South Node, the South Node symbolizes the tail of the dragon, the part that digests, the part that eliminates. So there's something there also about elimination, and that could be that you have to let go of something, and that could feel unpleasant. So just keep an eye on that. It's not necessarily a shadow, but it's not going to be easy, I don't think. I'm also, that square to Venus, Venus squaring the nodes. This is ushering us into this new evolution, whatever this process is, that 19-year cycle. So take a look at that. And then, the sun opposite Pluto, the king opposite the people, right? Leo opposite Aquarius. I think this might be an interesting moment. And again, I'm saying as shadow just to be aware of it, but not necessarily a terrible thing. Now, as far as the moon voids, I do want to point out on the 21st, the moon voids in the late afternoon on East Coast time until around 8:30 in the morning the next day. So keep that in mind. There's also another significant moon void on the 23rd in the evening. So not a big deal if you're East Coast time, but you will definitely want to adjust that for your time zone. And then there's a huge long moon void on July the 26th. It's void from 7:02 in the morning Eastern until 4:55 p.m. So a lost kind of floaty day for you to be creative, to explore, to entertain possibility, to integrate some of the symbols that came through after that new moon. So I hope that you found this useful and helpful. I'm going to run the Celtic Cross on this powerful new moon. So stay tuned for that. And if you found this helpful, again, please like, please comment. It does help the channel. And I'll see you in the Celtic Cross. Hello, my darling friends. And let us take a look at this new moon in Leo. For the collective, sending all the good vibes over to Saturn and to Neptune. And standing across from Pluto, which is still a planet, despite what they say. All right, so let's see what the Celtic Cross has to say about the intention setting that we need to focus on for this new moon. Alrighty, my friends. First card is us, King of Swords. So, this is interesting because I just did also the Isis Lotus tarot spread. This was in one of the options for the week. So we're trying to be rational. We're trying to be logical, straightforward, and direct our lives. What's crossing us? Six of Wands. So this could be the desire to be more visible. This could be the desire to be appreciated more. It could be a challenge with our ego, which makes a lot of sense when you're talking about Leo, right? In the past, the devil. Well, so this is indicating that there have been some harsh emotional responses to some of these situations, perhaps even some dark energy around us. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. I'm literally seeing dark energy like in an aura. Future, Queen of Pentacles. So this requires us to stay grounded, focus on resources and how we allocate our time and money. Now, crowning thought says strength. Well, of course, the strength card is going to show up in a Leo new moon, right? Yeah, this should be what we hold in our mind. The wonderful strengths of the divine feminine forces of compassion, of gentleness, and patience. Our subconscious mind, the Lovers. Remember also that the sign of Leo is the sign of play, of fun, of enjoyment, of pleasurable activities. So yeah, we are looking to unite with something or someone who does connect us to that pleasure principle. Advice, Hanging Man. Well, this is very interesting card to get. So I would say that this is probably reminding us that yes, we are going to set our intentions, we're going to manifest, but then we must wait. We have two cards here, Strength and the Hanging Man, indicating patience is required. Outside influence, King of Pentacles. So there's a principle engaged in this that has to do with making choices about our money, making choices about our career path, making choices about how we really devote our ultimate resource, which is us. What do we want to happen? Two of Cups. Yes, we want love, we want passion, we want happiness, we want fulfillment, we want money, we want fame, we want power, we want all the things. But here's the thing, we want love beyond all. And so that really is the lesson of Leo, is to be lion-hearted. So this is a wonderful intention to set for this new moon. And the outcome, Three of Swords. watch, because it might not come together exactly the way you want. That opposition with Pluto is pressuring. We've got some difficult energy at the beginning of the week. We have some difficult energy next week. Reader's fan, 2 of Pentacles, just remain balanced. 10 of Wands, also don't take it all on yourself. Collaborate, share. Don't feel like you have to do things the hard way. The Fool reminds us we're manifestors. We create our universe. And the 5 of Swords remind us that success might not be exactly what you're thinking. So be more in your manifestations, think more about what you dream and desire of, but try not to overly control the outcome. So both the Strength and the Hanging Man tell me that this 3 of Swords indicates that we need to be patient with this manifestation. So give it the full length from the new moon to the full moon to begin to really see progress. All right, my friends, I hope this was useful and helpful. Drop a comment below and have a great week. Bye.